due to claims now proven unsubstantiated. The Denver School Board has completed their external process and voted to take unprecedented action to censure me. Now at this moment, I want to acknowledge all of those who have been impacted by not only the process, but for those that have experienced trauma of sexual abuse, assault, misconduct, or behavior. I cannot imagine the pain that you have felt throughout this process. I am humbled and honored by the strength that you have shown. From the bottom of my heart, I sincerely apologize for the impact that this process has had on you. From the outset, my intentions were to be transparent and ensure and prove students and families had not placed their trust within someone who had caused harm. I had hoped that I would be able to stand before you today with the sole focus of moving forward. However, I have to acknowledge the students who chose to walk out of school today. I want to make it clear, I support our students and their constitutional right to protest. However, it would be disingenuous for me to pretend though it wasn't painful to watch. I ran for the Denver School Board for this very reason, to elevate student voice. I've stood along these same students as they voiced their concerns and their frustrations before. And up until the unsubstantiated allegations made by one person on March 26, 2021, I held the trust of the students. I do not blame them for how they feel, and I stand before them today and welcome any opportunity to hear their concerns and to participate in any restorative and transparent process to help heal the harm that has been caused. I would like to apologize to the citizens and taxpayers of Denver for this abuse of fiscal mismanagement. In the midst of a budget crisis and a global pandemic, most importantly, my most sincere and objective apology and most important stakeholder of all, the students. Your education has been once again sidelined by the mist of noise, and I have not been able to advocate for you, work for you, or support you in this. Nothing can replace the time lost, nor the trust that has been eroded in this. I know you have questions, and I am prepared to answer them. I know you have been very confused. At times, I have been myself. And I know this process has been very difficult during already difficult times. I hope that over time and with the hard work, I will be able to earn your trust back. So here we are, at the end of an extremely painful chapter of all of our lives. The question is how can we turn the page on this chapter and begin the next one? I know we must do this together. And if anything this time is proven, I cannot and will not do it alone. There are 90,000 students and families depending on not just me, not just a school board, but on a community that can grow and move forward. Past this and setting aside our own political agendas and rhetoric and doing the actual advocacy and work that is not only necessary, but critical to a thriving student body and that can be successful in their educational careers. You, the voters, sent me to the Denver School Board to not only do a job to ensure that new voices were being heard, but to fight for ideals that have often been ignored by those in positions of power. You, the voters, sent me to give an authentic, true voice to our students, not one that was far removed from the classroom, one that understood fully of what it meant to be a student in the Denver Public Schools, navigating through trials and tribulations of youth in the 21st century. Within my first 50 days in office, we passed the most inclusive and comprehensive LGBTQIA+ package in the history of the Denver Public Schools. Now, with your support and the support of the Denver School Board, our students can openly self-identify. Our schools must have all gender and accessible all gender neutral restrooms, and where previously educators felt silenced, they can now display their support for our LGBTQIA+ students. And it did not take years to implement this. And we, you and I, did not stop there. In collaboration with Moms Demand Action, we updated our student handbook and gave parents and students the tools to ensure safe gun storage and responsible gun ownership, so our students would not be able to access weapons in unsafe or illegal manners to harm themselves or any of their peers. We were able to do this as a Denver school board without infringing on any rights of the Second Amendment. And my firm belief in the power of student voice led to a measure that amplified student voice in the Student Voice, Student Vote Act of 2020, which again, the Denver School Board overwhelmingly passed. In such a short time, I have prioritized visiting over 70% of schools in the Denver Public Schools, and remember vividly my very first visit where students were surprised to see someone who looked just like them and understood their backgrounds and could empathize with them. It is the primary reason I ran for this seat. Our schools and our students need to know they have someone who will advocate for them in a genuine and honest manner, not just a politician or a special guest that isn't one of them. I was one of the loudest voices to speak for the power of our unions because I believe in our unions. With the support of the Denver School Board, we fought to expand our unions and added the Denver School Leaders Association to further advocate and ensure that we are paying as many people as possible in the Denver Public Schools a livable wage. We have begun the necessary work to dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline by ending the over-policing of our schools, and we are expanding much-needed mental health access and services. We reopened 2 schools that were historically closed in Black and brown neighborhoods, and we retired a Confederate mascot against insurmountable odds. When we entered a time of unprecedented uncertainty at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, I was honored to be on the front line when our communities were closed. In the snow, in the sun, the rain or shine, we were handing out meals to the students of the Denver Public Schools and any adult that chose to come through any of our food service lines. We also made sure any student that did not have access to technology had the access to ensure they were able to get into school. We fought to protect our educators and parents from preventing an early return in the fall of 2020 when infection rates were at its highest. And while our leaders were ignoring the cries of our students during the height of a racial justice movement, and our students were hungry to learn their history, I said, let's get to work. And under the leadership of Dr. Kimberly Grayson, the faculty of Dr. Martin Luther King Early College, and the women from the No Justice, No Peace podcast, we passed the No Justice, No Peace resolution that now teaches students a comprehensive look at their own history and roots so that no student has to travel 1,600 miles to learn about their history in a museum. During this investigation, we have been in a place where time has been suspended. The time for reflection has passed. It is now time to get back to work for the students of Denver Public Schools. It is now time for us to focus on the work of a district that we will serve all 90,000 students, regardless of school model and without respect to politics or agendas. We need to get back to work of teaching and supporting our students in whatever their path may be, and however they choose to travel it. We will create an environment where all student voices are heard, and they are given the tools to achieve and thrive in a rapidly changing world where students can feel safe and supported by all sides. Today, I am presenting a new framework over the next 2 years that I will need the community support to fulfill. I cannot and will not do it alone, and will not do it without your support. In order for us to live out the values of the No Justice, No Peace resolution, we must have an administration and a department committed to the implementation of its success and such curriculum. I want to work with the Denver Teachers Union, the Denver School Leaders Association, and the whole of Denver Public Schools to finally build an ethnic studies department led by BIPOC educators. In collaboration with our culture and equity teams, we must begin creating policies similar to the Black Excellence Resolution, and it has to be for our Latinx students, our Indigenous students, and our Asian Pacific Islander students. With your help, over the next 2 years, we will find a pathway to raise the base pay for employees in Denver Public Schools who are making less than $100,000. And I look forward to working with the school board to create a board member code of conduct in collaboration with our students. Now I will begin holding town halls throughout the city to earn the trust back of my constituents. I want to hear from those that disagree with all of my opinions and those who may agree with all of my opinions. I have now asked the superintendent and his staff to support regional restorative circles after today's events with students that are willing to participate. As a former restorative justice coordinator, I know the importance of addressing the harm that has been caused and finding the solution for all of us to work together. Finally, immediately following the next election, with your help, I want to find an equitable way to correct the loopholes in our SRO withdrawal resolution so that we can do everything in our power to end the over-criminalization of our students. As always, I remain committed to the entirety of Denver Public Schools community, not just those who have supported me or voted for me. I am an at-large school board director, and I serve all stakeholders of Denver Public Schools. I am committed to working for you, listening to you, and learning from you. Now, let's get back to work for our families. Let's get back to work for our students. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. It is an honor and a privilege to continue to serve the Denver Public Schools. Thank you.